Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah. Don't think I told you this. I think I'm going to cut out meat from a diet.
Going vegan again, huh? Or vegetarian anyway?
No. Do you know what? I'm not going to allow myself to be labeled as anything. I'm not. I'm just not going to do it. It's too. I don't want to self-identify with any label because I think it's too restrictive. I'm just not going to do it. The reason for this is living here in the countryside and by the ocean and stuff. It's spring, and literally, just like you back onto forest.
Yep.
You back onto farmers' fields, and there's little lambs there, been born. And you're just seeing them all. And I'm seeing calves, obviously baby cows. And I'm just seeing all the animals. And I'm feeling really connected to nature, which is great. But more importantly, I'm really starting to question my ethics around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of the just dairy and eating chocolate, let's say. I'm just like, God, can I be a part of this right now?
Dairy too, huh?
Yeah. So I've done it in the past. I didn't do it right. I'm aware that I'd have to supplement quite a bit, I think, in order to do it well and to make sure I'm getting what I need to get as well. So I'm just taking my time with it. I've cut out dairy at the minute. I've cut out dairy. The only real dairy I was having was either on a pizza or in chocolate. So I've got vegan chocolate now, so I'm having that. And I've just not been buying the pizza, although you can get some nice vegan pizzas. So yeah, I'm just going to see. I'm still eating fish. I had some eggs today, so I'm still eating all those wild, but so what? I mean, I find myself being able to make it easy to justify when it's fish. I don't think it really makes a difference. And eggs. So I ordered the supplements today. Quite a hefty list. Been recommended by a friend of mine who's been eating this way for quite some time and feels amazing doing it. And it was kind of coincidental. I had a conversation. I called him maybe a week or two ago, and I'd been experiencing this kind of ethical dilemma, if you will, as the spring was here and things. And he'd been going through a similar thing. It was like, hey, I've decided I'm cutting out meat. And I just started asking him, I'm like, but how far do you go though? Because if your argument is around the ethics, well, what about your car that spews out tons of petrol because it's like a supercar? What about this? What about the leather trim you've got on the car? You're not going to eat meat, but what about... Anyway, we got into an interesting conversation because that's what I mean. I don't want to be like going crazy with this, although, we don't, Amelia, because of Amelia, you know what Amelia's like with animals. We don't do things like the whole real leather stuff and all that. So, but anyway, I'll let you know how it goes, what the journey's like, where I end up. But yeah, that's certainly what I feel right now. I just feel so bad seeing these little lambs get raised and ripped away, and the calves and
Well, I got a nice juicy steak waiting for me upstairs. So,
but yeah. Anyway, we'll see how I feel. So anyway, I want to share something with you. So, I was speaking to a good friend of mine a few months ago, and he has kids. And he said, Tim, he's done a lot of work on himself, by the way. He's been doing work on himself for many, many years, and he's got a few kids. And he said, Tim, do you know what? I'm feeling really guilty right now. I can see the patterns I've had in the past playing out in my eldest child. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, the ways that I used to look at myself, I used to judge my body and how I have done even, when she was young, like looking at myself in the mirror and saying little things, the way I would just do things and say my behaviors I can see her doing the same thing, almost repeating the pattern. I feel like I caught it quickly enough in my other kids. Because that's when I started doing work on myself. So I wasn't as angry with those guys. I wasn't as short-tempered. I wasn't as withdrawn. I was a lot more connected to them. But I'm worried the damage has been done with the first. And I'm trying my best to, mitigate that and, make up for it. But I can't help blaming myself. I try not to, but I can't help blaming myself. I feel guilty. I feel worried. I'm scared she might get into some scenario as she grows up. And anyway, I thought it'd be a great topic to bring to you. Obviously, I don't have children, so I was just empathizing with the guy. I'm not going to pretend like I know what it feels like because I don't. I can imagine what it might be like. And I'm curious as to what you think about this. I know you, when you found out Erin was pregnant, you very intentionally went and did even more work on yourself because you were very intentional about the type of parent you wanted to be, the environment you wanted to create for Bodhi. And you've done a great job. It's something I definitely aspire to. So yeah, I'm curious, what advice would you give this guy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. Very generous. As any parent knows, as a parent, I kind of joke that you're going to screw your kids up. It's just how you're going to screw them up, right? Maybe you're too good or what have you. But this is something that we've hear a lot from the guys, especially at the alpha resets when we really get into some deep work. You can remember a guy who had twins, right? And, he started panicking. Anxiety came over him. He was freaking out because he thought one of his twins was kidnapped. And his twin was actually standing right there, right? But because he was a twin, he went into this kind of disillusional state, and he saw that anxiety fall over the other twin, and she started freaking out the same way. And he said, "Oh my God, I gotta seek some help. I gotta get some help on this, and get things sorted." So, and I share that with you because this happens for a lot of us, right? But what I've noticed over time is, a couple of things. One is, if there's something going on in your life, like what I did, right? My relationship, my wife and I didn't want to bring kids in until we had our relationship issues kind of sorted out. And then when new ones popped up, when we had kids, we made it a point of really going after it, right? Because we wanted to be the role models for our children, right? We want them to grow up seeing, what a relationship and a marriage could be, right? My parents separated when I was 4, divorced when I was 5 years old. And so that hits you. What I would tell these guys is I've seen the other side of this too. With so many hundreds of men going through the Powerful Man program and all of them being fathers, and all of us being screwed up in our own ways, right? And what I've seen is when the man changes himself and the kids, no matter what their age is, ideally younger the better, they witness that change and he's the leader in the family, right? So he's doing it positively. That child shifts. That child's behaviors shifts. Now, again, we talk about this because it's going on right now, but in the scope of the brotherhood, there's some guys that are going through this fitness challenge that I put together, right? It's going to be through this whole of Q2. And what they're finding out is they're doing, let's say, push-ups, and the kids are jumping on, right? Now he's got a daughter on the back and a son is next to him doing his version of push-ups, and the whole family is starting to become more active. The wife is getting involved, becoming more active. We're seeing this more and more, right? What's happened? Well, you had a sedentary family that all of a sudden the man who's become a leader, right? He's become reactivated. He was deactivated, right? He's becoming the benevolent alpha. He's becoming activated again. Everybody around him, it has a ripple effect. They start to follow the leader, right? It has that ripple effect to go into. The gentleman I mentioned earlier had severe anxiety issues, right? After his alpha reset, he was able to get rid of most of those. Not all of it, but most of it. His daughters changed almost overnight, all right? Because daddy changed. Their hero had changed. And not because he told them to change, Tim. This is what the interesting thing with kids are: monkey see, monkey do. That would be the best. We have a guy that's on our team, just found out his wife's pregnant. So, what the best advice I would give him is remember, monkey see, monkey do. That's kids. So if you're worried you screwed your kids up, unscrew them up by just fixing yourself. I say fixing, there's nothing broken, but by improving yourself and walking the walk that we call the powerful man.
So I love that. And what would you say to the guy then that says he feels guilty because he's caused this? That's what he believes.
So, first of all, I get it. I grew up on a steady diet of guilt, right? Guilt and shame. My guess is he feels guilty about everything. Guilt is his go-to. He feels guilty when he doesn't follow his diet the way he should. He feels guilty when he doesn't make as money as he should. He feels guilty when he raises his voice when he shouldn't raise his voice. He feels guilty when he says no to a friend who asks for help, even though he can't do it. He feels guilty when he doesn't overextend himself and give up of himself to help others. Guilt is his go-to drug. It was mine. It's something I'm still working on, Tim. Guilt is my go-to drug. Like, you know me, like I have way too much on my plate sometimes. And then you or somebody else asks me to do something. Hey, can you help me out with this? And I feel guilty if I say no. Right? That's the initial reaction. So you get to work on the guilt, right? And the more I'm involved in the Powerful Man as a movement and our teachings, right, that guilt gets stripped away. But it's been heavily ingrained in me, right? I joke, but it's true. I grew up on guilt. It's what my mom used to raise 3 boys in a house. And she jokes about it now. Like, I call her out on it and she's like, yeah, how'd you expect me to raise 3 guys? You guys were all athletes. I was, single mom. So I used guilt and manipulation to raise you guys. Well, that's when it overcomes me. So I would tell this guy, if he feels guilty about it, awesome. Sit with that. Realize that guilt's not getting you anything. Guilt and shame don't go anywhere, right? They don't get you where you want to go. Now, what can you do to improve upon yourself in such a manner that you're going to showcase to your daughter in this case? I think you said it was a daughter, to your child, this daughter in this case, of what it means to live what we call an F. I don't know if we're going to lose it, an F yes life. Right? What does that mean? So I don't know what this guy's exact thing that the daughter's got the issues with, but let's just say it's anxiety. Okay, cool. Show your daughter that you're going to conquer your anxiety issues, that you're going to invest time, money, resources into improving upon yourself, because that is going to serve your daughter far more than anything else, right? She's going to witness her father saying, this isn't good enough, and I'm going to do what I need to do to fix it. That's going to carry her far more than a college education would, right? That determination to say, you know what? This isn't the path I want to be on. This isn't the life I want to live. I'm going to seek out coaches, mentors, whatever it is, therapies to get rid of this. Good isn't good enough. I'm not going to settle for anything less than great. That's what I want to pass off to my kids. Kind of the idea of you can feed a man fish, or you can teach him to fish. If you feed a man a fish, you feed him for one meal. You teach him to fish, he can feed himself for life. And that's what I would encourage this father to do.
Yeah, this guy was really struggling to open up with me as well. And I asked him, I'm like, who you spoken to about this? So, what do you mean? Well, who have you spoken to about this? Oh, do you mean like a therapist? Like, no. Who have you shared this with? It's like, well, no one. Why? Well, I don't want to burden people with this and, guilt, right? I don't want to burden people with this. Okay. But also, the other piece is, I think he might be terrified about how he'll look. Will I look like a bad father, right? Shame. Are people going to think that? Exactly, yeah. Are people going to think that I'm a bad father? And I encouraged him, like, look, I don't have kids, so I'm not going to try and sit here and tell you what to do. But I imagine if you were to share this with some people that you felt like you could trust, right? I imagine there's going to be a good percentage of them that are probably thinking something similar, or even worried about something similar.
90%. Yeah. I would guess any woke man, so to speak, to use a new term that's out there, conscious father, they're worried about it, right? Because we all have bad habits and things we've done and things we're not necessarily proud of in our lives. And we don't want our kids to follow those footsteps. We want them to learn from our mistakes, right? And so it's when that shame takes over. This is the reason, I don't do the consultation calls with the guys that are looking at joining the program, but I can almost guarantee you the reason most guys listen to this podcast but don't reach out to find out about the activation method is shame. They don't want people to know that they don't have their shit together, that their marriage isn't perfect. It's purely shame. I can tell you what, when a guy finds out what I do with a powerful man, any married man, right? They all start asking me a ton of questions, but never specific questions about their marriage. But I've been coaching for over 20 years. I know exactly what they're doing. They're like, man, I don't want anybody to know that I have a sexless marriage. I don't want anybody to know that my wife and I are fighting. I want everybody to think we're perfect and I know how to figure this out. It's the same reason guys don't ask for directions, right? They don't want people to find out. It's the same thing that happens to dads. But you got to put that aside, guys. You got to raise your hand. That's bravery. It's courage, right? I talk about courage a lot. Courage is being scared or shameful and doing it anyway. That takes balls, right? You got to step into it. And it's not a weak man that does that. It's the opposite. It's a super friggin' strong man who raises his hand and says, look, I need help. Or, hey, I got a question. I'm just not sure about this. That takes courage because I go through it, right? Where I'm worried at times, oh, geez, what's this other person going to think of me? Right? Oh, what's Tim going to judge me because I did this, whatever it was.
Yes.
We all do. Of course, you're going to judge me. You're like my brother, so therefore I don't care. No, it's a weird thing. But for these guys, you listening to this, right? When shame comes into the playing field, you got to step fully into it. That's how you conquer the shame. Just go through it like a barrier. So we have American football, right? We have a position in American football called a running back, right? Called hike. The quarterback hands the ball to this guy and he just runs, right? Not always straight, but he's running through the defense and he's going to get smashed. But the way you do it is you just smash through. And the more and more you do it, guys, the more and more you approach that shame and just realize no one's really judging you because they're too busy thinking about themselves. Right? They're more concerned. This guy, if he raises his hands to the other people around him, essentially, whatever that may be, if he's in the program, the guys in the program be easy because they're not judgmental at all because they've already been through so much. And just says, hey, look, man, this is what's occurring for me. Has it occurred for anybody else? I have a feeling he's going to have a lot of guys stepping in line and a lot of guys who are scared to raise their hand. Now he puts himself in a leadership position. This is just like you guys that are on the fence about joining the program, right? If you're worried about what people will think or worried like I should know how to do this myself, that was my friggin' story. I can build businesses. I can do all these other things. I should be able to fix my marriage myself. I couldn't. I was scared that people were going to find out too. What are they going to think of me if they find out that my marriage isn't as perfect as it looks on social media? What are they going to think of me? They find out that so quickly after we got married, things just weren't working out. Oh my God. And it was hard for me originally to talk about it on this podcast. Because what are they going to think about if they find out my wife and I've had problems? Woo. Guess what, guys? As soon as I started talking about it, friggin' every guy I've talked to is like, yeah, of course. Every people, I've got the same problems. Difference is some people don't do anything about them. So for this gentleman or any guy listening to this, whether it be your kids, whether it be your marriage, whether it be your health, there's no need to feel shame about it. I encourage you to be courageous and step into that fear anyway, right? And be the leader. Right? Be the leader by showcasing to the people around you what it is to be scared, to not settle, and to step up and step into your best life.
I love it. Well, I'm going to send him this episode and see what he thinks.
Yeah, let me know. And if this is a particular guy in the program, I'm happy to talk to you as well. Because gosh, I've been there. Right. And like I said, I think every father has been there. different degrees, of course, different things that we do or don't do. But yeah, monkey see, monkey do. And it goes good and it goes bad. So if it can go bad, monkey see, monkey do, and your kid can pick up your bad habits, guess what? They can also pick up your good habits. Well, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us at the Powerful Man Show. I'm going to invite you guys to be courageous and share what you got from this episode over in our Facebook group, right? Just go over. It's the Powerful Man Facebook group. It's a private community of men just like you. It's just for business owners. So apologize. We get tons of requests every day from you guys that just don't happen to own a business yet. We are going to open up another program eventually, but right now we're focused on business owners only. We know our system works for the differences in business owners have. So go over there if you're a business owner and share, right? Be courageous and share what's going on for you. Raise your hand and lead. Until then, guys, have an amazing day. Take action as always. We'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.